Sagittarius, what's going on? Welcome into the channel. So happy to have you here always. My name is Deborah, owner of Purusha Holistic Wellness, and this is another episode of Purusha Intuitive, where we'll look at your energy via the tarot, astrology, and any channeled messages that come through. So let's get into it. Little head bow. I kind of make fun of myself when I do that. I hope you guys are doing well today. It's been interesting lately, right? Like, there's just a lot happening. Pluto just moved into retrograde. It's really highlighting places that need change. That has definitely been highlighted for a hot minute. It moved into Aquarius, back in November. And we've been working through a lot of relationship dynamic issues that are really highlighting whether or not we want to take people, situations along with us, or whether we even can, right? Some of this stuff is just coming up and we have to deal with it. And none of it's very fun. We had a full moon in Scorpio beginning of the week, and that was also pretty tense, right? But well, I should back that up, because actually, as we've been moving towards the end of Taurus season, we're getting a little bit more of the earth element, which is helping to ground out, stabilize some of the tension, frustration, emotions we've been feeling. But the full moon in Scorpio, the tension really was because it continues to highlight where changes need to be made. You know, it's like spirit tapping us on the shoulder and saying, hey, you know, you got to look at this, or you got to do something about this. And we're like, no, it's good, until we're forced to make changes. And not that everything's going to be bleak and whatever, like horrible tower moments, but it is really asking us to kind of flip the script on certain relationships, the dynamics in those relationships, how they're playing out, how they're affecting your life, whether it's actually honoring your heart, your mind, your soul, or if it's just someone who's kind of operating out of manipulation, control, threats, etc. So that's why I like to start off with an energy cleanse, set the tone, set the vibe for the reading, cleanse out any blocks, obstacles that we might be coming into. It's also a really good time to set your own intention for the reading as well, Sagittarius, especially if you've come in with something on your heart, on your mind, something you would like spirit to answer questions around. Definitely give that over, be open to receive. It's a great way to personalize these collective readings. And I also do personal readings. I offer a variety of healing and wellness services. Readings are one of them. If you want me to look at your specific situation, how it's faring, where it's headed, etc., or if you're looking for more of a realignment of self, mind, body, soul, I do energy healing as well as Ayurvedic or holistic wellness consultations. When we're aligned in self, when we know who we are, what we want, etc., that's really where we find happiness, fulfillment. That's where we manifest that proverbial abundance. If we're not right with self, well, you know, it only gets us so far, unfortunately. And I would love to help support in whatever way possible. All the info to get into contact with me is in the description box below. All right, Sagittarius, let's get into it. I bless you with pure love and light, pure source energy, pure loving grace. I release anything that is not for your highest and best. Any fears, doubts, insecurities, lack of worth, lack of value, pain, anger, frustration, impatience, overwhelm. Cleanse it and release it from our being so we may see and understand the messages clearly and help to make me a clear and open channel for the collective. Thank you, Father God, Spirit Guides, Guardian Angels, Mama Love, Mama Love. All right, Sagittarius. So I feel like you're really making, some intentional steps to kind of walk away or weed out some of the bullshit. Some of the stuff that just really hasn't been working in your favor, or places that you've tried to show up, invest in people in the highest and best way, right? Like try to connect with them, try to have relationship, whatever that looks like for you. And it just hasn't, it's kind of fallen flat is what I'm hearing. And I feel like you're just over and done with that. I feel like you're making adjustments, you're setting boundaries, or you're thinking about like what changes you actually need to make. You know, I feel like you have set boundaries. I feel like some of them have been a little bit reactionary, right? Based on circumstances, people, places, and things. There's not a lot of room for toxicity in your life anymore. But it looks like Spirit's asking you to do the deeper work of really contemplate and understand. Understand where you are contributing. Sorry, not to be annoying, but I think this is really important to recognizing how to manifest the life we want. Yes, there is the component of fantasizing, dreaming up how we want things to look, but then there's those action steps. We have to know how we show up in dynamics in order to get the thing we want, right? Like we can't be functioning out of fear, anxiety, insecurities, etc., and hoping to get, the jackpot or, the golden ticket, whatever, that kind of vibe. It's being practical about our approach. And there's something that Spirit's asking you to have compassion around, to see, to understand. Maybe as you have settled a little bit more in your life, maybe as you've gained some balance, some clarity around people, situations, Spirit's actually, I feel like heavy boundaries were set, and maybe this is a time to readjust some of that stuff or go back to the drawing board. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to engage with people again if that's not your vibe. If you've closed the door on certain chapters in your life, that's okay too, right? But I think this is a lot about reframing. I love it. The way that you see, the way you interpret. Sometimes one person can be a catalyst for a lot of difficulty, a lot of trauma in our life, if you will, and then it spills out onto the people around us. So there is something that Spirit wants you to reframe this week, or really kind of look at it from a different perspective. Not being able to do so right now is actually kind of putting you in a place where you're on the road to repeat it again. That's why it's really important to have some awareness, or maybe just look at things from a different perspective, having a little bit more compassion for someone or something. And it's not necessarily to your detriment. I'm not saying that you have to become a doormat or, put down your own difficulties to lift someone else up. It doesn't necessarily feel that way. But I think this is a lot about just being honest about how certain things shook out. Again, I'm getting this sense that maybe you put up heavier boundaries with certain people, situations than you would have because you were dealing with something else that was a little bit more messy. And I think honestly, it kind of looks like you're feeling a little bit nervous or intimidated around someone or something. Yeah, because I think it's hard. It's been hard for you to open up to people again. That's what it looks like. You're very much on guard. As much as you're coming in as the Queen of Cups, this magical, maybe not everyone wants to be magical, but the Queen of Cups, she's just she's a lover. She loves life. She's creative. She dances, to the beat of her own drum, and people want to hang out. People want to be around her, etc. It's that part of us that is a little bit softer, more emotional, more vulnerable, etc. But that can be a very scary front to present to the world. And I feel like the way that you're coming across is just, being really diplomatic in how you make your choices, your decisions, and maybe also to the advice of someone else, right? This also could be someone who is not putting any feeling, emotion behind it and just encouraging you to make really practical decisions. So it looks like someone is having a hard time dealing with that. It looks like they're feeling a little bit left out, as if, I don't know, it does kind of look like something happened between you two or in this situation that has left things at a standstill, is what I'm hearing. There might not be a lot of interaction. Maybe someone's waiting for you to talk, but you're kind of doing your own thing. It looks like whatever you've kind of transitioned out of, wherever you needed to gain a little bit more clarity and balance, you've done it. You've done it, and you're kind of moving forward. Maybe you're reflecting a little bit on this person's situation. It does feel like someone you've left behind, but you haven't necessarily closed the door. So you could just be in a a time of no communication, or, you know, life is busy, whatever. It might not even be intentional, but it feels like there's a little bit of a hanging in the balance, so to speak. I don't know. I think that this person or situation just kind of has a hard time understanding you, understanding what your perspective is, or maybe why you chose what you chose. For them, for you, it's, you know, like, I think you care, but you don't, is what I'm hearing. Like, you care, but you don't. And like, I kind of feel like you've made up your mind about this situation. You know, I think that you kind of had to make some difficult decisions. Yeah, you might not have loved how things have worked out, but at the same time, it also looks like you needed to wrap up or close up a chapter in your life. And maybe this person was collateral damage. Maybe, you know, it just was the way that it was about things. It does look like they're pretty emotional, you know, about what happened, especially if you do have a conversation moving forward. You're not feeling bad about what you chose, is how it's coming across. You're not feeling bad about it. You're choosing to just be like, you know what, letting bygones be bygones. Like, this is hard, this sucks, but, right? I had to do what was best for me. And yeah, they still, like, it looks like you still think about it. You still reflect on it. There's a part of you that might feel bad or whatever. I do think some of this is coming up, like I said, just so you have a little bit more clarity on how the approach was, you know, what the approach was, maybe looking at things, you know, maybe there could have been better communication. Maybe it wasn't necessary to self-protect. It looks like both of you did on some level. And so when we self-protect, you were going through it, they were going through it, etc. It's almost like no one was talking. No one was like clearing the air or understanding where each person was coming from. Or like maybe it was just like agree to disagree, or, you know, whatever. It's not how I would do it, but that type of vibe. Kind of trying to be as level-headed and diplomatic considering the circumstances. And it feels like the circumstances were not easy, right? It wasn't easy for that. But it's things that you had to do. It's choices that you had to make in order to connect with this happiness, so to speak, right? You know, I think this is also about you getting really clear on who and what are really on your team, on your side, Sagittarius, right? When we go through the hardship, it's crazy how many people will turn their backs on you, or you thought they were friends and they're not following through, or whatever it may be, right? And I feel like you're more focused on the community aspect versus playing fair. Yeah, you had to play fair, but I think you made some choices that weren't necessarily, well, for both of you. I mean, I just think that it looks like things were taken personally on both ends. And I don't think it necessarily was, or that's what the cards are saying. It doesn't look like it was, but that's where some of the tension and frustration are coming through. Right? It's because there's not really a lot of clarity in this situation. I think that you're kind of doing your own thing. You're involved in your own thing this week. And so maybe not really paying attention to someone or something, or again, maybe you're kind of lumping them into this category of whatever they were associated with. Again, like, it does look like this is not done. And I feel like Spirit wants a little bit more clarity on your end. It's really going to help you have the closure that you need, Sagittarius. I'm not saying that you like have to get back involved with something that doesn't fit you, because I don't see that either. And honestly, this feels like at the end of the day, letting bygones be bygones, accepting what the situation was, and like moving forward for both people involved. So I hope this helps. I hope you found messages that resonated for you here today. Sorry, it was a little heavy, but I hope it gives clarity, insight. Like I said, your energy feels strong. You feel good. You feel like confident in the decisions that you made. Yeah, there's some loose ends. It does look like you're going to tie those up moving forward. Maybe not happening this week, but you kind of know where you're headed. So Godspeed. I'm sending all the love, all the blessings your way. Definitely drop comments below if you found messages that resonated here. I love to hear, or just say, hey, share in a little love, a little TLC. I so appreciate all the love, all the support that you bring to the channel. No, I'm sending it back your way.